Hi everyone, it's Mari here for the Paper and Ink Boutique. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be creating some inspiration for you using the gorgeous Curiosities and Willow Grove collection from 49 and Market and VICKI BOUTIN. I'm going to be using the Halloween assortment pack for this fall themed layout today. And I'm also going to be using a piece of VICKI BOUTIN Foundations paper for the base of my layout. So there's that foundations paper there. And this is the collection, the Halloween assortment pack. It's so fun. This is the sticker sheet that's part of the pack, and you get this in the pack itself. All of these stickers on this sticker sheet are just such great quality. You can see that they're, at least I'm trying to show you here, that they're quite thick. So you do get a really, really nice quality sticker here for each one of these different stickers. You can see how easy these are to work with and just really, really fun. So there's lots of words and phrases and icons there. And then you also get this laser cut sheet. So there's one sheet of one or two sheets of laser cuts. Let's just see how we go here. These are so great. You can see that there's no white border around the outside edges, and they're really nice and thick. So they're quite a heavy weight. They are so great to work with. I think the laser cuts are my favorite thing that 49 and Market do. They're just a really, really great product. So there's that sheet, and then this sheet here. Let's just see here. Is this a laser cut sheet, or do these have borders on them? No, I think this is another laser cut sheet actually, and these are just great too. Here you can see these are all different kinds of ephemera, including words and phrases. You've got tickets and all kinds of different shapes and elements that you can use for your project. So another whole sheet of ephemera here. There's some frames, you've got some borders, some stars, title pieces, just really, really fun. So as I go through here, I'm pulling off some different little pieces that I think I would like to possibly use for this project. And I'll put those into a Spellbinders tray off to the side. And when I'm finished, I'll put those into a little storage pouch and I'll put them back in with the collection. Actually, you can see some of these pieces do have a little bit of a white border on them. So I wouldn't necessarily call these ones laser cuts, but they're a really nice thick die cut. Some of them do have the white edge on them and some of them do not. So here you can see these pieces here don't have. Do they have the white border on this one? I don't think so. It's will be a little bit easier for you to see on the screen where you're looking as opposed to where I'm looking as I look at my computer here. But some of these definitely do not have a white border. So now we go into this sheet here. You can see these really sweet little ghost shapes. Again, lots of different little elements, some frames. You've got some titles, this spooky candelabra. There's some banners, lots of really fun things. Now, these sheets here are called Irresistables. And what they are is they're rub-on transfers that form a resist. So they're white rub-on transfers in essence, and they resist any medium that you put over top of them, so that once you add them and ink or whatever over top of them, you'll be able to see what they look like. So I'm going to demonstrate that here for you. I'm going to take part of that one sheet that has the script writing on it. I'm just going to take a popsicle stick or a craft stick, whatever you want to call it, and I'm just going to rub this onto my white foundations paper. So you might be thinking, that's not very effective. You can't see it. But I'm going to show you here how this comes alive once I add some ink over top. I'm going to be using a combination of Distress ink and 49 and Market ink here today. And as I'm pulling that off, I just keep looking to see if there's areas that haven't transferred. So I'm pulling it off slowly and then making sure that any area that hasn't transferred, I just rub it on again. So I did add, I blended a little bit of Villainous Potion on there to start, and I'm using some brushes from Waffle Flower Crafts. This is one of their smaller blending brushes, and now I'm using some of the Lavender Kisses from 49 and Market. So the purple is a combination of Villainous Potion and Lavender Kisses. I'm switching now to a larger brush. This is one of the brand new brushes from Waffle Flower. They're fantastic. It's about a 1-inch blending brush, so you can get quite a large surface area blended. And as I blend over top of that, Irresistible, you can see the text starting to come alive and show through that ink that's blended. Now I'm going back to that Irresistible sheet, and I'm going to take another little bit of script. I'm going to add more of that down onto my foundations paper, kind of over to the lower right area here. And again, I'm just going to take that craft stick and transfer, giving it a really nice press, and then just slowly removing the paper or the plastic until I see that all of the text is transferred onto my paper. We're just going to go back over that with the Villainous Potion first, and then with the Lavender Kisses. And I'm using, pardon me, I'm using the same brush for all of this different ink, and just really using a broad stroke here, not worrying too much about how evenly this is transferring on, because I'm going to continue to blend more colors here. And eventually I'm going to spritz this with water. And I did want it to have kind of a nice sort of a distressed look to it in the end. I'm going to add a little bit more of that stronger purple with the Villainous Potion. Love that color. It is so gorgeous. And now I'm just going to go in with a variety of pinks. So I've switched my brush over to the pink brush. This is KITSCH Flamingo, I believe. And I'm going to use a combination of KITSCH Flamingo, I believe, and pink or Picked Raspberry for a little bit of a stronger pink. And I'm also going to use a little bit of Just Peachy, I believe it's called, from 49 Market. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, it's called Just Peachy. So it's kind of just a really, really pretty soft peach color. I'm going to get some of that on there. And again, here you can see I switched the brushes. I love that these waffle flower brushes have a color for each color family. And then there's also a set of white ones so that you can, make them for whatever you want. Now, I believe that this is Spiced Marmalade, and this is just a little bit of a different color of orange than the Just Peachy. I'm going to go back to the KITSCH Flamingo and blend a little bit of this in. And as I'm working with the KITSCH Flamingo, I'm thinking, I want a little stronger pink as well. So this is where I'm going to go in with some Picked Raspberry and add a little bit of that. So you can see that's much more dramatic than the KITSCH Flamingo, but I love how that's blending together. It looks really, really nice. I'm going to go back in with my purple brush and just trying to extend that out. And I'm going to add more color here as we go. I'm going to take my Distress water sprayer and add some little spritz of water. And now what I'll do is just take my paper towel and I'll dab up that excess moisture. And you'll just see here, that's going to add just some really fun water drops, splotches on the ink. And just it makes it look kind of distressed and sort of a little bit more textured and interesting. I'm going to take my Ranger heat tool and dry my paper. And I like to dry it on the front and the back. There wasn't a lot of moisture added. It shouldn't be too wet on the back, but I always just kind of like to even that out. This is a stencil from Tim Holtz. This one, I believe, is called Halloween Script. It is THS063. Love all of Tim's stencils. There's actually some brand new ones that are Halloween themed or fall themed that you can find in the shop. It's so fun. And I think some of them actually come with stamps. So I think that's really cool. So check it out. These stencils are always such really great quality. And I'm using some of the Ranger texture paste here. This is the matte paste, which is my favorite texture paste for sure. I love it. And I'm just going to go ahead and spread this over and add it onto my stencil with a spatula here or a palette knife. And then I'm going to just take some rock candy. And I'm trying to remember if I used the chunky or I think I used the chunky here rather than the regular. And you can just see here how pretty this is going to look, how sparkly and shiny that is, just for a little bit of sparkle and shine on the project. Some of this is going to get covered up, but quite a bit of it is going to show, and it's just going to be a really fun little element. This is the Fossil ink from 49 Market, and the stencil I'm using is THS037. It's all of these kind of like different messy circle shapes, which I love. And it's actually going to be a little bit of a repetition detail that I'm adding on here because I'm going to be using some paper with circles. So I'm just adding this on kind of in random areas to start, just here where you can see it. Then I'll move my stencil around the project eventually and add a little bit of a fainter bit of stenciling as well. Not sure what's wrong with my voice. I did have, I think I had some sort of flu bug on the weekend, and I'm just kind of trying to make my way back from that. I was quite sick on the weekend, but I'm definitely feeling better, but my voice maybe isn't just quite as strong as it could be. So I apologize for that. Here we're just going in with a little bit more of that stenciling and that fossil ink. So, and then I was looking up in the top right-hand corner and thinking, I just need a little bit up there just to make this look a little bit more kind of symmetrical or balanced, I guess is the better word. And so I'm just lightly adding that, just ever so lightly up there. And I really like how that looks. Now I'm going to add some stamping. This is the Stampers Anonymous Ledger Script stamp. Any script stamp, text stamp that you have, anything that might add some pattern, it wouldn't even have to be text. I'm going to add this onto the project where those circles are stenciled. And again, I'm just going to go with a tone on tone. So I'm going to use that fossil ink again. And so it's not really it's not meant to be really bold. I just kind of want it to be a little bit more subtle texture. And this is how you build your layers, just by continuing to add different little elements on your background until you've just got kind of like some really interesting things created. And this is my favorite part of scrapbooking, is creating the background. I often use a white paper to start, and I like to leave some white space. So you'll see that there's little pops of white space on the paper still. I'm going to take this paper, which I think might be my favorite from this Halloween assortment pack. It's so beautiful. You do get 2 sheets of each paper in the collection, which is great. And I'm just going to tear off a strip, and then I'm going to tear from the bottom as well here. And I wasn't sure yet really what I wanted to do for the design. I thought I might use this frame or a couple of frames. I wasn't really sure yet. I had an idea of what photos I was going to use, obviously, but I wasn't really sure of all of the details at this point. This might be my second favorite paper other than those circles. I love this. It is so cute. It's got all of these pumpkins and leaves. It is totally adorable. It's got like a black background, and then the colors are just fantastic, right? So totally gorgeous. Now I have this cut. I know that I'm going to use it alongside this circle paper. I wasn't sure if I wanted to lay it directly over top, have it offset. I was kind of thinking about my options here and how I might print my photos, what size my photos might be. These are all of the things that I'm thinking about as I'm looking at the papers and the design that I'm going to choose, or how I'm going to add these papers in. As I'm looking, I'm thinking, okay, I'm definitely going to need some more color over to the top edge or the right of the purple. So I'm laying the paper back on there. And I'm thinking, I want some more pink. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of the pink ink over to this side. And I just felt like to balance it off with what's happening over to the left of the pattern paper, we needed a little bit more color over there. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm taking my TONIC Tim Holtz rotary trimmer, and I'm going to trim my white paper down to 11 inches. So to do that, I'm going to take 1/4 of an inch off of each of the 4 sides. So love this trimmer. If you aren't familiar with it, if you haven't seen it, it is the TONIC Tim Holtz rotary trimmer. It is beautiful, cuts so well, and it's probably my favorite trimmer that I have, although I really do like my track trimmer from TONIC and Tim Holtz as well. They both cut 12-inch paper and larger. And I just love it in my trimmer family. I love all of the Tim Holtz trimmers, to be honest. They're all really, really good. This is a plaid paper from the collection. It's got that really cool distressed paper on the other side. I want to use this as a border, so I'm going to take my track trimmer now and I'm going to cut the center out of this paper so that I don't waste it. The foundations paper is heavy enough for the base for my layout. I don't need another layer of paper all the way around it or on the base of the whole layout. So instead of wasting the center part, I'm just going to gut it with my track trimmer. So here you're just going to see I'm just taking the track trimmer and just cutting out that center. And then I'll set that center piece aside for another project. I could have used it on this layout somewhere on the inside of the layout, but I chose to just set that aside. Now I'm just taking a little bit of Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L tape runner, and I'm just tacking the paper down to the white paper down to the plaid paper. And once I'm sure that it's centered-ish and I'm happy with how that looks, I'll go in with my MISTI glue press, and I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid adhesive underneath that white foundations paper. I'll give it a really good press and just make sure that it's well adhered to the plaid paper. So you'll just see me here putting that liquid adhesive, and I actually put that under the top and edge sides as well. Okay, just doing the exact same thing. And I'm just, again, just giving it a really good press until it's adhered. Now, I took that pumpkin paper and I basically just cut it in half on the long edge. And I've decided that I want to just use it as a piece that's peeking out. The pattern is quite bold, and I kind of wanted just a little bit of it showing just for its pop of color and of course the patterns. And so I'm going to take some Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L foam tape. I'm going to add that to the sides of the circle paper and adhere it onto the pumpkin paper. And in that way, we're going to have that pumpkin paper on the sides. I will just take a few minutes to make sure that the pumpkin paper is straight and that I'm getting this on here so that about the same amount is peeking out on both sides. And once I'm happy with that, I will just go ahead and soon I am going to adhere that down to my project. Now I cut 2 photo mats. These are 3 inches by 3 inches. Just from some plain white cardstock, and that's going to be just where my photos are going to go. So I like to do that when I'm scrapbooking. I like to have just a piece of plain white paper to give me a sense of where my photos are going to go before I print the photos. I had so much trouble with my photo printer today. I had to change the cartridge and I had to clean the nozzles and the heads on it probably 5 or 6 times before I printed my photos printed properly. So that was annoying, but I do love my photo printer, but it is quite old and I hadn't done any maintenance on it for a while. So I just used my MISTI glue press on the back there to adhere this down. Before I really give it a good press, I'm going to get my Tim Holtz, I think this is probably a TONIC tool, but it's Tim Holtz, my centering ruler, and I'm just going to make a little tick mark on my layout and on this pattern paper piece just to make sure that I get this centered. Now for the embellishments, we have so many things to pick from, and you can see that Spellbinders tray on the left side of my desk there. I love those trays. They are so good. They stack, and they're fantastic for storing things or for when you're working on a project. You can put your ephemera or whatever, your die cuts, whatever you're working on, so that you can pick from there, or you can just keep things organized there. And I'm going to start to add some things on here. So I'm going to use a combination of the different ephemera from those different sheets of ephemera that are in the assortment pack. This is just a really fun little laser cut that has the spider web in kind of a rectangular frame. And I'm also going to add a little ghost over there, and I will just add some foam adhesive. A great way to create your clusters is to not have them all flat. You want to make sure that there's some air or space between the layers. And in that way, it just makes your clusters look a little bit more dimensional and interesting. And so my ghost is popped up on some foam adhesive, and I'm going to pop up the pumpkin on some foam adhesive as well. Now I'm going to also add some leaves in a couple of different places. These laser cut leaves are so gorgeous. I love them. And of course they are repeated in that pumpkin patterned paper, which you can sort of see poking out on the edges of the circle paper. I'm just putting a tiny little bit of foam adhesive on these leaves just to pop them up. I'm going to put a cluster of 2 there, and then I'm going to put another little cluster of 2 above the title. And so the title is October Magic, and I am going to use another little cardstock sticker for a subtitle in a minute here. So I love these little laser cut bats. I wish I had about 100 of those. They are so cute. And I'm going to put 3 of those on the project. I love how that black just pops off of the layout. It just looks really nice and just good, really good. Love it. And now I am taking the word eek, and I'm going to pop that up on some foam adhesive as well. I just felt like I needed a little bit something more down lower left and nice and close into the project. So that says eek, and then we're going to put another little subtitle down there, another little sub phrase. I'm going to add that little candle and candelabra in that spot there, which is just a really great vertical element there. And just really liking how this is all looking and coming together. And again, there are just so many embellishments that you can use with this collection. It's great. Really love that raven, so I'm going to add that in above the word eek. It looks like the raven has landed there. I'm going to take this little piece of ephemera. It's a little ticket. I'm just going to chop that off in half. I will use the other half above to the right. So I'm just going to add a little bit of foam adhesive onto the back of that and pop that into that area kind of above that leaf cluster on the left. I'm just going to add that in there. I'm just going to wiggle it around until I feel like it's in the right spot. And I'll give it a little bit of a bend just to make it a little more textured. And then you can see I'm adding the other half of that ticket up to the top area on the right over by the leaves and the candelabra there above the title. And just really love this part of the process where you can just take the different little bits and pieces of the collection and just, you know, add all of the fun little details in, which is, I think, a lot of fun. Especially when you're working with a collection like this, it is so, so good. Very typical of Vicki Boutin, obviously, right? Her collections are always so, so good. Now, I'm going to just distress the edges of the paper a little bit by rolling them and making sure they're just a little bit more textured in that way. And now I'm just looking at the sticker sheet, and here's where I just pick this little sub-sentiment here. I'm going to add that over underneath my main title and just adding that little bit more of pop of orange in that way. And I'm just going to tuck that under there. My bats are added onto the project with a little bit of foam adhesive as well. Now I can take my 2 photos, which I've printed at 2.8 inches square, I believe, and so that they're just slightly smaller than the white photo mat. And I am going to pop those down. Now the photo mats, as you saw, were added with some foam adhesive, so I didn't bother putting any foam adhesive onto the back of the photos. I'm going to just add a little bit of repositionable tape. I did my journaling on the back of the layout, as I often do. I just did some handwriting on the back and told the story of what we did this day. Last October, we went to a maze that was made with hay bales, and it was so much fun. We took the 2 little guys, and it was just a good time. So I'm going to show you this up close. I do think that if you wanted to add some journaling to the front of this layout, if you're going to recreate this, I would probably add it over to the right, just where I'm pointing now. This would be a really great spot for some journaling strips. Friends, I have linked up in the description box below to the different products from the Paper and Ink Boutique that I did use on this layout. I've also linked up to the shop, so make sure you check it out. I hope this inspired you. I hope you have a wonderful day and get crafty soon. Take care. Bye-bye.